Sheamus realizing that he was in a major fight tonight with Del Rio.
Dog fight.
And the brawler from Dublin retains the championship. Look at this. Carlo Rodriguez.
What the hell does he think?
Is idiously upset with the fact that Sheamus wanted out. Del Rio back to the attack.
Come on.
Something's got to be done about this, Ricardo.
Well, frustration running wild. By Del Rio.
This is ridiculous.
And now Del Rio to Rodriguez. Matchup's over. Sheamus retained. And these two guys are beating the hell out of Sheamus. Well, obviously a very frustrated Alberto Del Rio tonight. Following the loss, this was his opportunity. Del Rio claimed it was his destiny to win the world championship.
And Del Rio dominated. And really, you guys got to admit, he pretty much dominated this match.
Wait a minute! Ziggler! he just won the Money in the Bank briefcase and a world championship contract moments ago. Del Rio beat the hell out of the champion, and I think Ziggler wants to cash in. Let's be perfectly clear here. What? The referee never called for the bell. It's not an official matchup.
But wait, I thought Ziggler said he wanted the match.
He did, but the bell must ring. That is the rule.
You can't be right.
The bell has to ring to start the match. The bell never rang, which means Ziggler still has not cashed in the contract. Sheamus is still the champion. Ziggler is still the holder of the Money in the Bank World Championship contract.
Please wake up Ziggler and tell him that.
Yeah. Two grown men and a giant on that ladder. Oh! Knockout punch!
Wow.
Weapon of mass destruction. Jericho, Miz, here's Cena. Oh, Cena using the briefcase to block the punch. Now using the briefcase as a weapon. John Cena won it! John Cena won it! John Cena wins Money in the Bank!
Well, there's not much left in that briefcase, but it's thin and it's battered. But I'm sure that precious contract is still inside.
Another first for John Cena. For the first time in his career, John Cena is Mr. Money in the Bank.
How close was Chris Jericho? I mean, he was right there. Just a smidgen away.
John Cena now guaranteed a WWE Championship match whenever he wants it. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey. Ooh, yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. As you heard in the opening clip, Money in the Bank results surprisingly predictable, I guess. Because for the first time in the almost 3.5 years that I've been here on Pro Wrestling Weekly, all of my predictions certain to go wrong, I actually got right. Unbelievable. Who would have thunk it? Yes, granted they only had 4 matches pre-advertised, so, getting 4 out of 4 right, who'd have thunk it? But amazingly, it happened. Of course, Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio, as you heard there, Sheamus beating Alberto Del Rio, and then, to the surprise of a few, although there was a definite noted, if you caught it there in the commentary, you might have known there was a chant of "We want Ziggler," so a lot of people were expecting Dolph Ziggler to come out following his win in the SmackDown Money in the Bank match, of course, beating Damian Sandow, Tyson Kidd, Christian, Santino Marella, Tensai, Cody Rhodes, and Sin Cara to get the World Heavyweight Championship shot. He came out and was going to cash in the briefcase. However, after a little bit of a struggle with Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez, he turns around and meets a brogue kick, which, if you can find video of it, I mean, it made Sheamus look like $1 million just in his own right. I mean, as to how well he turns around, and he took it much better than Alberto Del Rio did during the match, that's for sure. And that just shows the greatness that is Dolph Ziggler. But as you also heard Michael Cole say on commentary, because the bell never rang, Ziggler still has the Money in the Bank contract and can cash it in anytime still within the next year. Looking at the rest of the pay-per-view, of course, as you heard a little bit later in the clip, John Cena won the ladder match, but not exactly as planned. At least I don't believe so. It was kind of hard to pick up everything that was going on with the commentary because it all happened so fast, but near the end of the match, Big Show pulling out a double reinforced ladder that was specifically made, I guess, to handle the likes of he and Kane at the same time. And at the top of the ladder, initially you had Jericho and Miz, and Big Show hitting his infamous weapon of mass destruction, that right hand, that knockout punch, knocking Jericho out, knocking the Miz out. And then Cena was about to get the same, except he took the Money in the Bank briefcase, since he was at the top of the ladder, used it to block the punch, and then proceeded to swing the briefcase at Big Show's head. And on the third strike, the handle of the briefcase actually broke off of the carabiner, which was attaching the briefcase, to the rafters there. And with the handle breaking off, the briefcase unsecured in John Cena's hands, and that immediately made him the winner of the Money in the Bank ladder match. And of course, we also had the WWE Championship match. Another match you definitely have to go out and see at some point, whether you find it on the internet, whether you get the DVD. CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, no disqualification. That was the last added wrinkle that was sent via text message mere hours before the pay-per-view. AJ is the special guest referee, and the two just tore the house down for the better part of a half hour, just under that. And definitely go out of your way to see this match, but surprisingly, I got all those right. Dolph Ziggler, of course, winning. Sheamus retaining the World Championship. CM Punk retaining the WWE Championship. And John Cena winning the Raw Money in the Bank contract because the briefcase handle broke. Who would have thunk it? The other matches, you had Kofi Kingston and R-Truth beating Hunico and Camacho to retain the Tag Championship. That was on the pre-show. And then you had 3 filler matches on the card. I want to get your thoughts on that, whether I don't know whether it seemed like it was too much filler, but you had Primo and Epico beating the Primetime Players. That tag match ended up making its way onto the card. And then after the WWE Championship match, there was not one, but 2 kind of cool-down matches before the Raw Money in the Bank match. You had Ryback beating the tandem of Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex in a 2-on-1 handicap match. And then you had a 6 Divas tag match, Layla, Caitlyn, and Tamina beating Beth Phoenix, Natalya, and Eve. There's your lineup for Money in the Bank. Of course, we're previewing this Monday, Raw number 1000. They've been hyping it for ages. Effective this Monday, all the Monday Night Raws go to 3 hours. And over the course of the show, I want to get your take, looking back at the previous 999 episodes, at your favorite Raw moment. So we'll definitely look into that. We also have some other news and notes. We've got an update on the discussions between Viacom and DirecTV. Also, a former WWE Tag Team Champion who has now signed officially with TNA and will make his debut this Thursday on Impact. We'll talk a little bit about that. I've got the official press release on the 1000th episode of Raw. We'll run down all the great appearances that are going to be going on. And a bit of a programming note, next week should definitely be an interesting show here on Pro Wrestling Weekly. We're calling it a little bit of a birthday bash. Of course, next Saturday, the 28th, happens to be yours truly's birthday, and figure we're going to kind of have a party atmosphere here in the studio. We're going to be bringing back a longtime friend of the show, RC from Completely Damaged. He'll be in-house, either in-house or over the phone, yet to be determined. We're still working on the discussions of that, but former co-host Richie Blyweiss, he'll make an appearance on the program. And there's you're obviously certainly invited as well. That's all going to be next week from 12 until 1, Saturday, July 28th. But this week, ton of stuff still to talk about. Of course, the Bound for Glory series, the constant interruptions by the faction Aces and Eights, making not one, not two, but 3 attacks, certainly establishing themselves on Impact this past Thursday. And we've got plenty of room for your calls as well as some Facebook feedback, all that coming up. And we can do that coming up after this timeout here. Let me give you the numbers, 215-949-3232 or toll free at 888-922-2149. Those are the ways to reach us. We'll get to some Facebook feedback on the other side. You can chime in on that as well with going on to Facebook. Search WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly, like the group, and you can certainly post on the wall, and we'll go ahead and... some of the better stuff I'll definitely note on there, and the Rat has certainly been active. We'll get into some of what he's got going on. Also, Ross from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew with a video post, and of course, you can check out the Today in Wrestling History posts. Those go on a daily basis. Sometimes, life happens, I get backed up, but I try to make sure to make up for it by putting 2 and getting caught up the next day. Kind of like what I did this morning, as I put up yesterday's from July 20th, of course, looking back at the Great American Bash pay-per-view, and then one of the Today in Wrestling History videos, which you'll hear a little bit of what happened, and that's sampled in the Today in Wrestling History segment coming out of our second timeout. But let's go ahead and take one of our timeouts now. We'll come back. We've got Dan on the line, and we've got room for you as well. Gave you the numbers. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.